I, Tiffany Barner Davis, being of sound mind, do pen this autobiographical account of my life. May it bring clarity to the history and legacy of my life and the contributions I intend to leave with the world. The story of my life began on a crisp, cool fall day, the very first day of October. My mother, then just barely a teenager, has told me the story of how my grandfather, who was sprawled across the bed, immediately came out of his stupor to take her to the hospital. Her and my father at the time were both in high school, so I never knew if my father was there the day I was actually born. My earliest memories of my family began in Atlanta on Endell Place. I can vividly see my young self riding the big wheel that belonged to my friends, Patches and Monica. However, majority of my memories take place at Chesapeake Way, which is the house I consider my family home. Once I began school, our family moved to East Point, 3707 Chesapeake Way to be exact. I can vaguely remember our first drive to the house. Vaguely, because I can't remember the house being any other color than yellow, my grandmother's favorite. My mom, grandmother, and grandfather worked together to make changes to the house. I can remember clearly the day they used that weird looking brush with white paint to create a textured ceiling. Many times I would walk through the house with a mirror under my nose, pretending to walk on the spiky ceiling. Christmas at 3707 will always be something I treasure. My great grandmother, who I call Ma, would come spend the night with us from College Park. She would sleep in my Uncle Derek's bedroom because he had moved to Maryland. My grandmother would be in the kitchen preparing Christmas dinner: chitlins, coleslaw, baked beans, slices of white bread by sunbeam. The stinky good smell of chitlins filled the house as we wrapped the last bit of Christmas gifts and watched TV. Going to sleep on Christmas Eve was really hard. All I could think about were the Christmas gifts that I would receive this year. I loved the red and white record player my dad had given me. I would spend countless hours listening to the records that my grandmother and mother had stowed away in drawers of my room. Yes, my room. Uncle Derek's room was finally transformed into my room once I was too old to continue sleeping in the same bed with my mother. In church was where I further explored my love for music. I told my mother as a young child that I wanted to join the children's choir. I had to have been around 5 or 6 years old. I joined, but I was very shy about my first solo. So shy that I stood on the pulpit facing the right side where my mother was sitting so that as I sang. As I grew, the church continued to be a part of my life and still is. From music to field trips to friendships, my mother made certain I was there whenever anything was going on. I continued to sing in the church mostly, and only a little at school all the way up to high school. My mom would always ask me to sing for any church function she was a part of: play, dance recitals, singing, preaching, or just plain old service. Music and singing became just what I would do. It even has found its way into my profession as a teacher. In 2013, only a few months after receiving Teacher of the Year at Riverdale Elementary, my mother passed unexpectedly in a car accident. She was leaving the church, heading to a conference. Her death was a pivotal moment in my life. I had to take on many responsibilities that I really didn't want. I had to grow up and rely on everything she ever taught me. It caused me to become the oldest living woman of the Goodson family. I could feel the heavy responsibility of caring for my grandfather and younger sister now that she was gone. My sister and I are 13 years apart, and so our relationship has always been a little volatile, especially since I was charged with babysitting her even when I didn't want to. However, after mom's passing, there was a shift. I knew I had to be strong for her because she took the death so hard. Now, she has her own family. My nephews, Isaiah and Alvin, my brother-in-law, Steve, and since both Mama and now even Big Daddy have both passed, I try to make sure that we stay connected as a family as much as possible. As I look into my future, family, friends, and church continue to remain an important part of my life's journey. Professionally, I hope to achieve educational leadership certification so that I can open up more opportunities for myself in professional development, and ultimately push my own educational consulting business called Gift so that I can fulfill my purpose and passion of growing instructionally focused teachers. Family, friends, favorites, highs, lows, and my future aspirations shape me and make me into who I am meant to be. Just me, Tiffany. Until next time.